We often find ourselves facing moments when we feel blocked, whether in our relationships, our personal growth, or even with opportunities. It's easy to point the finger at external forces and blame others for the difficulties we encounter. But the truth is that these blockages are often reflections of our own assumptions and beliefs. When someone distances themselves or blocks us, it isn't a random act, it mirrors something within us that needs attention. By changing our assumptions and beliefs, we begin to shift the reality we experience, and eventually the blockages we face will dissipate. We need to understand that we are constantly creating the world around us through the way we perceive it. If a person has blocked us, whether emotionally, mentally, or physically, it is a direct reflection of our beliefs about ourselves, about them, and about the situation. These blockages are not permanent. They are simply manifestations of assumptions we have nurtured over time. If we hold the belief that someone is angry with us, that a situation is hopeless, or that reconciliation is impossible, then those beliefs will shape the way that relationship unfolds. The person will mirror those assumptions, and the result will be the blockage we experience. However, the moment we begin to examine our inner world, we can see the path to resolution. When we feel blocked, instead of focusing on the actions of the person who has created that distance, we must ask ourselves, what beliefs am I holding about this person or situation? It's not about them, it's about how we view the situation and how we believe it can be. The reality we experience is a reflection of our internal world. So when we change the story we are telling ourselves, the outer world begins to adjust accordingly. One of the most powerful tools we have to change our internal state is imagination. Our imagination is not just for daydreams or fantasies, it is a tool that shapes our reality. By vividly imagining the person who has blocked us returning with open arms, with understanding and compassion, we begin to shift our perception of the situation. Instead of seeing them as an adversary or someone who has wronged us, we start to see them as someone who is capable of reconciliation. The more we imagine this outcome, the more real it becomes, not just in our minds, but in the world around us. The process of revision is also key in transforming our reality. If we have a painful memory of the person blocking us, we can revise that memory in our minds. Instead of recalling the moment of separation or conflict, we imagine the scene differently. We can picture the conversation going smoothly, the reconciliation happening effortlessly. By revising the past, we change how it influences our present. What we assume about the past becomes the foundation for how we experience the present. So if we revise it in a positive light, we create a new reality in which the blockage no longer exists. The beauty of this process is that we don't need to wait for the other person to change. The change begins with us. The moment we recognize that we are the creators of our experiences, we understand that our assumptions are shaping every interaction we have. If we assume that someone will continue to block us, that assumption will be reinforced. However, if we shift our assumption and begin to imagine them unblocking us, returning to us with peace, we align ourselves with that possibility. We don't need to force the change, it will naturally unfold as we change our internal dialogue. This is not just a matter of hoping for the best, it's about taking active steps to change the internal stories we tell ourselves. When we believe that reconciliation is possible, when we assume that the blockage can be removed, we start to see evidence of this in our lives. The energy we project out into the world is the energy that will return to us. If we project love, understanding, and the belief in resolution, then those very qualities will manifest in the people and situations around us. When we recognize that the external world is simply a mirror of our internal world, we realize that we have the power to heal not just ourselves, but also the relationships and circumstances that seem distant or blocked. As we change our assumptions about ourselves and the world, the outer world begins to shift in response. The person who has blocked us, whether they acted out of anger, fear, or misunderstanding, will be compelled to unblock us. Their actions will align with the new assumptions we have cultivated. The more we embody the belief that reconciliation is possible, the more that belief will shape the actions of those around us. Ultimately, the key to overcoming any blockage, whether in a relationship or in any area of life, lies in unblocking ourselves from the limiting beliefs that hold us back. When we let go of the assumption that things cannot improve or that someone is beyond reconciliation, we free ourselves from the very thing that has caused the blockage. As we unblock our minds and hearts, the world around us follows suit. And the person who has distanced themselves will naturally return, no longer blocked, but open to connection once more. The transformation happens when we stop waiting for others to change and instead change our internal landscape. The shift is subtle but powerful, and it is the key to removing the blockages that have stood in our way. We often encounter moments when we feel blocked in life, whether it's in relationships, opportunities, or personal growth. It's easy to fall into the trap of blaming external factors or other people for the challenges we face. We may think that someone has blocked us, that a door has been closed, or that a situation is beyond repair. However, the truth is that blockages are not solely determined by external forces. They are often reflections of our own beliefs and assumptions about ourselves, others, and the world. When we encounter blockages, it's important to recognize that the power to overcome them lies within us, and it begins with a shift in the way we view the situation. When someone distances themselves from us, whether it's through silence, emotional withdrawal, or even physical separation, it is often a manifestation of our own internal state. These blockages are not necessarily permanent or unchangeable. They are the result of the assumptions we've been carrying about the people involved or about the situation itself. If we hold the belief that someone is angry with us, that reconciliation is impossible, or that the relationship is beyond repair, these beliefs will be reflected back to us in the form of a blocked connection. In order to change the outcome, we must first change the way we view the situation. The world we experience is, in many ways, a reflection of our inner world. Our thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions create the lens through which we view and interact with the world around us. If we continue to focus on the belief that a situation is hopeless or that someone has permanently blocked us, we are reinforcing that reality. However, if we begin to change our internal dialogue and shift our assumptions, we create the space for new possibilities to unfold. The key is not to focus on the actions of others, but to turn inward and examine the beliefs that are driving our experience. One of the most powerful ways to create change is through the use of imagination. Imagination is not just a tool for daydreaming, it is a means of reshaping our reality. By vividly imagining the desired outcome, we begin to align ourselves with that possibility. If we want someone who has blocked us to unblock us, we must first imagine that happening. We can visualize the person reaching out, expressing understanding, and opening the lines of communication. The more we immerse ourselves in this mental image, the more it becomes a part of our internal reality. Over time, this mental shift begins to influence our external world, and the person who has blocked us may feel compelled to reconnect. Another important aspect of overcoming blockages is the practice of revision. Revision involves revisiting past events or experiences and imagining them unfolding in a different way. If we have a painful memory of a time when someone blocked us, we can use revision to change how we perceive that event. Instead of focusing on the hurt or frustration, we can imagine the situation resolving peacefully. We can visualize the person unblocking us and the relationship returning to a place of understanding. By revising the past in our minds, we can reshape how it influences our present experience. This mental shift allows us to release the emotional charge tied to the situation, making it easier to move forward and invite positive change. It is important to remember that we do not need to wait for the other person to change in order for the situation to improve. The change begins within us. When we shift our assumptions and beliefs, the external world will begin to reflect that change. If we assume that someone will continue to block us, that assumption will likely be reflected in their behavior. But if we choose to assume that reconciliation is possible and that the person will unblock us, we align ourselves with that possibility. This shift in mindset is not about forcing the other person to act in a certain way, but about creating the inner conditions that allow for healing and connection. The energy we project into the world plays a significant role in shaping our experiences. If we hold on to feelings of resentment, frustration, or anger towards someone who has blocked us, we are likely to create more of the same in our interactions with them. However, if we let go of those negative emotions and instead focus on forgiveness, understanding, and the possibility of reconnection, we begin to project a different energy. This positive energy invites the other person to respond in kind, and the blockage that once seemed insurmountable may begin to dissolve. Ultimately, overcoming blockages is about unblocking ourselves from the limiting beliefs and assumptions that keep us stuck. When we let go of the idea that a situation is beyond repair, or that someone is permanently closed off to us, we free ourselves to create a new reality. This shift in perception is not about waiting for others to change, it is about taking responsibility for our own thoughts and beliefs. When we change our internal state, the external world will follow suit. And the person who has blocked us may find themselves compelled to unblock us, restoring the connection that was once lost. The process of overcoming blockages is not always immediate, but with patience, persistence, and a commitment to change, we can transform our relationships and our experiences. By shifting our assumptions, using imagination to visualize positive outcomes, and practicing revision, we open the door to new possibilities. The key is to recognize that we are the creators of our reality. And when we change the way we view a situation, we create the space for transformation to take place. As we unblock ourselves from negative beliefs and assumptions, we invite healing and reconciliation into our lives, allowing the one who blocked us to unblock us and restore the connection. We often find ourselves facing situations that feel like insurmountable obstacles, leaving us feeling blocked or stuck in life. These moments may come in many forms: relationships that seem strained, opportunities that seem out of reach, or challenges that feel beyond our control. In these instances, it's easy to fall into the mindset that the situation is being determined by forces outside of ourselves. We may think that someone else's actions, circumstances beyond our control, or the way life is unfolding are the reasons for our discomfort. However, if we dig deeper, we realize that much of what we experience in life is shaped by our inner world, our beliefs, assumptions, and perceptions. The way we interpret the events around us can either keep us stuck or empower us to overcome them. When someone distances themselves from us, it can feel as though the relationship is permanently broken. Whether it's a friend, family member, or partner, being blocked emotionally or physically can trigger feelings of confusion, frustration, and helplessness. In these moments, it's common to focus on what the other person is doing or not doing. We may think that their actions are the cause of our suffering. Yet in truth, how we respond to these actions and how we interpret them has far more to do with the situation than we might realize. Our beliefs about the person or the relationship often shape how we experience the situation. For example, if we hold the belief that someone has blocked us because they are angry or upset, this belief can color our perceptions and our behavior. We may begin to view the person through a lens of judgment or resentment, which can reinforce the distance between us. On the other hand, if we begin to question these assumptions and choose to view the situation from a place of understanding or compassion, we open up the possibility for healing. The key lies not in changing the other person's actions, but in shifting our perspective and emotional state. When we take responsibility for how we feel and how we react, we create the space for the situation to evolve in a more positive direction. The reality is that we are not passive observers in our lives, we are active participants. The way we perceive events, the beliefs we hold, and the stories we tell ourselves shape our experience of the world. When we encounter blockages, whether in relationships or other areas of life, it's important to remember that we have the power to choose how we respond. We don't have to wait for the other person to change or for circumstances to shift before we feel better. By changing our internal world, our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, we can begin to change the way we experience the world around us. One of the most effective ways to shift our internal world is through awareness. By becoming aware of the thoughts and beliefs that are driving our emotional responses, we gain the power to change them. For example, if we believe that someone's behavior reflects something negative about us, we may feel rejected or unworthy. But when we become aware of this belief, we can challenge it. We can remind ourselves that someone else's actions do not define our worth or dictate our happiness. By shifting from a belief of lack or rejection to one of abundance and self-worth, we change the way we experience the situation. This shift in perception can lead to a sense of peace, even in the face of external challenges. Forgiveness plays a key role in overcoming blockages. Often when we feel blocked by someone else's actions, it's because we are holding on to feelings of resentment or hurt. We may believe that the other person has wronged us, and as a result, we may hold on to negative emotions. These feelings can trap us in a cycle of anger and frustration, making it difficult to move forward. But forgiveness is not about excusing the other person's behavior, it is about freeing ourselves from the grip of negative emotions. When we forgive, we release the emotional burden we've been carrying. This emotional release allows us to move forward with a sense of peace and clarity, opening the door for new possibilities to emerge. An essential component of overcoming blockages is letting go of the need to control the outcome. Often when we face challenges, we try to force a particular result. We may become fixated on the idea of how we want the situation to unfold, and in doing so, we create resistance. This resistance keeps us stuck in a state of tension and frustration. However, when we let go of the need to control every aspect of the situation, we create space for things to unfold naturally. This does not mean that we are passive or inactive, but rather that we are open to whatever outcome arises, knowing that we can adapt and adjust along the way. When we release control, we release the fear and anxiety that often accompany situations where we feel blocked. Another powerful way to overcome blockages is by shifting our focus from what is lacking to what is present. When we feel blocked, it's easy to fall into a mindset of scarcity, believing that things are not going the way we want or that something is missing from our lives. This mindset can make the situation feel even more frustrating and difficult to overcome. But when we shift our focus to what we already have, our strengths, our achievements, our relationships, we begin to shift our energy. Gratitude is a powerful tool in this process. By focusing on the positive aspects of our lives and expressing gratitude for what we have, we raise our vibrational frequency, which in turn attracts more positive experiences. Finally, it's important to recognize that we are not defined by the blockages we face. Whether in relationships, career, or personal growth, we are constantly evolving and learning. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow and expand. When we approach blockages with curiosity, rather than judgment, we allow ourselves to see them as opportunities for transformation. Instead of getting stuck in the narrative of being blocked or stuck, we can reframe the situation as one of growth and expansion. By embracing this mindset, we empower ourselves to move through challenges with resilience and grace. When we face blockages in life, the key is to take responsibility for our emotional state and our response to the situation. By becoming aware of our beliefs and assumptions, letting go of negative emotions, and shifting our focus to what we are grateful for, we open ourselves up to new possibilities. Blockages are not permanent obstacles, they are opportunities for us to change our internal state and, as a result, change the way we experience the world around us. By embracing our power to create our own experiences, we can move through life with greater ease, resilience, and peace. Life often presents us with challenges and moments where we feel stuck, as though something or someone is blocking our progress. It's easy to externalize the causes of these blockages, blaming others, circumstances, or the situation itself. Whether it's a troubled relationship, a career setback, or an emotional wound, these challenges can feel overwhelming. However, the truth is that many of the obstacles we face in life are not as much about the external world as they are about our internal beliefs, assumptions, and emotional states. The blockages we encounter are often a reflection of our inner world and can be changed by shifting how we perceive and respond to them. When we feel blocked, it's easy to focus on the actions of others or the way circumstances seem to be working against us. However, the root of the feeling of being stuck often lies within us. The way we interpret a situation, the beliefs we hold about it, and the way we react emotionally can all contribute to the experience of being blocked. For instance, if someone cuts us off or distances themselves from us, we may interpret this as rejection or an indication that the relationship is over. These interpretations can lead to feelings of hurt, resentment, and hopelessness, reinforcing the blockage. But if we challenge these beliefs and look at the situation with a new perspective, we can begin to see possibilities where there once seemed to be none. Often we view obstacles and challenges in a way that makes them seem insurmountable. We may believe that the person who has blocked us is unwilling to forgive, or that the situation will never improve. However, these assumptions are not facts, they are simply interpretations of the situation based on our current state of mind. If we change our assumptions, we can change how we experience the situation. If we believe that reconciliation is possible or that healing is achievable, this shift in perception can create a shift in the reality we experience. Our internal state shapes our external reality, and by changing how we perceive the challenge, we can open up new possibilities for resolution. The first step in overcoming a blockage is to recognize that we are not powerless. While external factors may seem to be out of our control, our thoughts, feelings, and actions are always within our power. It's easy to slip into a mindset of helplessness when we encounter an obstacle. We may feel like victims of the situation or believe that we have no control over how things unfold. However, this belief is disempowering and limits our potential to create change. When we take responsibility for our emotional responses, we empower ourselves to shift our focus and energy in a way that supports healing and resolution. This means shifting from a mindset of victimhood to one of empowerment, where we recognize that we are not controlled by the external circumstances, but rather by how we choose to respond to them. One of the most important things we can do when facing a blockage is to examine the beliefs we hold about the situation. Often these beliefs are unconscious and can have a significant impact on how we feel and behave. For example, if we believe that someone's actions are a reflection of our worth, we may feel hurt or rejected by their behavior. Similarly, if we believe that a challenge is too difficult to overcome, we may become paralyzed and unable to move forward. But when we challenge these beliefs and replace them with healthier, more empowering ones, we can change our experience of the situation. Beliefs like "this is an opportunity for growth," or "I am capable of navigating this challenge," can shift our perspective and make it easier to move through the blockage. Forgiveness plays a key role in overcoming obstacles and blockages. Holding on to anger, resentment, or hurt from past experiences only keeps us tethered to those emotions, preventing us from healing and moving forward. Forgiveness is not about excusing someone else's behavior or pretending that everything is fine. It's about freeing ourselves from the emotional weight that holds us back. When we forgive, we release the grip that negative emotions have on us, which allows us to heal and create space for new, positive experiences. This is especially important when we feel blocked by someone's actions. Rather than allowing their behavior to dictate how we feel, we can choose to let go of any resentment and move forward with a clear, open heart. We often encounter situations in life that leave us feeling blocked. Whether it's a relationship that has gone cold, an opportunity that seems out of reach, or a goal that feels impossible to achieve, these blockages can feel discouraging and overwhelming. It's easy to blame the external circumstances or people involved, thinking that the barriers are beyond our control. However, the reality is that blockages are often a reflection of our internal state, our beliefs, assumptions, and the stories we tell ourselves. The external world is shaped by what we hold in our hearts and minds, and when we change the internal narrative, we begin to see a shift in our reality. When someone blocks us, whether emotionally, mentally, or physically, it's easy to feel as though the situation is beyond repair. We may feel hurt, confused, or even resentful, believing that the other person's actions are a reflection of our worth or of some permanent rift between us. However, these feelings are often rooted in our assumptions about the situation and our beliefs about ourselves. If we hold on to the belief that someone is permanently upset with us, or that the relationship is beyond mending, that belief will shape how we interact with them and how we experience the situation. But the moment we shift our beliefs, the situation begins to change. The key to overcoming any blockage is understanding that we are not victims of our circumstances. We are the creators of our reality. Our thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions are constantly shaping the world around us, even in ways we may not fully recognize. If we believe that someone has blocked us because of something we've done, or that they are unwilling to reconnect, we reinforce the idea that the blockage is permanent. But when we shift our assumptions and begin to see the situation differently, we begin to align ourselves with a new possibility, a possibility where the blockage is removed and the relationship is restored. One of the most important steps in overcoming blockages is to recognize that we are responsible for our own emotional state. If we feel hurt or upset by someone's actions, it's often because we are allowing those actions to dictate how we feel about ourselves. The key is to take back control of our emotional state and recognize that we are not defined by the actions of others. Instead of focusing on the blockage, we need to focus on healing our own beliefs and assumptions. When we shift our internal dialogue, we create the space for change to occur. This is not about changing the other person's behavior, it's about changing the way we perceive the situation. We also need to practice forgiveness, not just toward others, but also toward ourselves. Often when we feel blocked, we hold on to resentment or guilt, believing that something we've done has caused the rift. But these negative emotions only serve to reinforce the blockage and prevent healing. Forgiveness is not about excusing the other person's actions, it's about freeing ourselves from the emotional burden of holding on to past hurts. When we let go of resentment and guilt, we create the emotional space necessary for healing to take place. This shift in perspective opens the door for the person who has blocked us to return and for the relationship to heal. Another powerful tool for overcoming blockages is the practice of revising past events. Often we are emotionally stuck because we continue to replay past interactions in our minds. We may ruminate on the moment someone blocked us or focus on the hurt caused by a disagreement. This mental replay only reinforces the feeling of being stuck and keeps us trapped in the past. The key is to revise the past in our minds, imagining it unfolding in a different way. Instead of recalling the pain of being blocked, we can imagine a conversation where understanding and reconciliation take place. By revising the past in our minds, we shift our emotional connection to the event, making it easier to move forward and embrace a new reality. Overcoming blockages is also about cultivating a mindset of abundance and possibility. When we feel blocked, it's easy to slip into a scarcity mindset, believing that there are limited opportunities or that relationships are fixed and cannot change. This mindset only reinforces the feeling of being stuck. But when we adopt a mindset of abundance, we open ourselves up to new possibilities. Instead of believing that the relationship is permanently broken or that the opportunity is lost, we begin to see that there are always new ways forward. This shift in mindset creates the space for new opportunities and connections to enter our lives, and the blockages that once seemed insurmountable begin to dissipate. Finally, it's important to recognize that the external world is a reflection of our internal state. If we continue to believe that the blockage is permanent or that the relationship cannot be healed, we are reinforcing that belief in our experience. But when we shift our internal beliefs and begin to believe that reconciliation is possible, that the relationship can be restored, we begin to see the world respond in kind. The person who has blocked us may feel compelled to reconnect, and the situation that once felt stuck will begin to move forward. This shift in perception is not about forcing the other person to change, but about changing the way we perceive the situation and allowing the world around us to align with that new perspective. When we overcome blockages in our lives, we free ourselves from the limiting beliefs and assumptions that have kept us stuck. By taking responsibility for our own emotional state, practicing forgiveness, revising past events, and adopting a mindset of abundance, we create the space for change to occur. As we shift our internal world, the external world follows suit, and the person who once blocked us may unblock us, restoring the connection and bringing healing to the relationship. The key is to recognize that we have the power to create our own reality. And when we change the way we view a situation, we change the situation itself. There are times in our lives when we feel blocked, whether it's a relationship that has grown distant, an opportunity that seems unreachable, or a situation that feels impossible to resolve. In these moments, it's easy to become fixated on the external factors at play: the person who has distanced themselves from us, the door that appears to be closed, or the circumstances that seem insurmountable. However, the truth is that these blockages are often more a reflection of our internal beliefs and assumptions than the actual actions of others. In order to overcome them, we must first look inward and examine the thoughts and beliefs that are shaping our reality. The blockages we encounter are not simply the result of external forces, they are often a manifestation of our own internal state. When someone blocks us, whether through silence, emotional withdrawal, or physical separation, it can feel as though we have no control over the situation. We may believe that the other person's actions are final or that the relationship is beyond repair. But the reality is that these situations are rarely permanent. They are the result of the assumptions we hold about ourselves and others, the beliefs we have about the relationship, and the stories we tell ourselves about what is possible. If we carry the belief that someone is upset with us, or that the situation is hopeless, that belief will color our perception of the relationship and influence how we respond to it. If we continue to assume that the blockage is permanent, we reinforce that belief, creating a cycle of separation. However, if we shift our beliefs and assumptions, the situation can begin to change. The key to overcoming any blockage is recognizing that we are not passive recipients of our circumstances. We are active creators of our reality. Our thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions are constantly shaping the world around us. If we believe that someone has blocked us because of something we've done or that the situation is unfixable, that belief will be reflected back to us in the form of the ongoing blockage. On the other hand, if we shift our beliefs and start to assume that reconciliation is possible, or that the relationship can be restored, we begin to align ourselves with a new reality where the blockage is removed. It is important to remember that our emotional state is something we control. When someone blocks us, we may feel hurt or rejected, but we don't have to allow those feelings to define us or dictate our response. Instead of focusing on the other person's actions, we can choose to focus on how we want to feel and what we want to create. We have the power to shift our emotional state, regardless of what others do. By letting go of feelings of resentment, guilt, or anger, we create the space for healing and transformation to occur. When we no longer allow the actions of others to determine how we feel, we can begin to shift the dynamic and open ourselves up to new possibilities. Forgiveness plays a crucial role in overcoming blockages. Often we hold on to feelings of resentment or guilt when someone blocks us. We may believe that the other person is to blame for the rift, or we may feel responsible for the distance between us. Holding on to these negative emotions only serves to reinforce the blockage. Forgiveness is not about excusing the other person's actions, but about freeing ourselves from the emotional burden that comes with holding on to past hurts. When we forgive, we release the negative energy that keeps us tied to the situation. This act of emotional release clears the path for new, positive energy to flow into our lives, allowing us to move forward and create the space for the blockage to be removed. Another powerful way to overcome blockages is by shifting our mindset. When we encounter a blockage, it's easy to fall into a mindset of scarcity and limitation. We may believe that the relationship is over, that there are no opportunities left, or that the situation cannot be changed. This scarcity mindset only reinforces the feeling of being stuck. But when we shift to a mindset of abundance and possibility, we open ourselves up to new opportunities and new ways of thinking. Instead of focusing on what we believe is lost, we begin to focus on what is possible. By embracing a mindset of abundance, we begin to attract new opportunities and experiences into our lives, and the blockages that once seemed insurmountable begin to dissolve. The world around us is a reflection of our internal world. If we continue to believe that the blockage is permanent, or that the relationship cannot be restored, we are reinforcing that belief in our experience. However, if we shift our beliefs and begin to assume that the situation can change, that reconciliation is possible, we begin to see evidence of this in our external world. The person who has blocked us may feel compelled to reconnect, and the situation that once felt stuck may begin to shift. This change in perception is not about forcing the other person to act in a particular way, but about changing the way we perceive the situation and allowing the world around us to align with that new perspective.